Hello, I'm Tim Morris from Cincinnati State. Today I want to talk about aircraft weight and balance. There's some very important things that we have to know to make an airplane fly safely. And a lot of it involves weight, how much weight can the airplane carry, and the other part of it is balance. Let's talk about a couple of terms first. The first term I want to talk about is center of gravity. Center of gravity talks about all the gravity centered in one place. So I'll also call this the balance point. So if I took the mass of this aircraft, weight, mass, if we want to be scientific, and we concentrated it to a single area, where would be the center of gravity? I'm going to call that the balance point. So I take my hand and I put it someplace here. If I put it here, it falls down, and here it falls down. If I get it over here too far. But if I find the balance point, all the weight is concentrated in one area, and that is called the center of gravity. Now, another term that we'll talk about is the formula, the weight and balance formula, which I'm going to summarize as weight times arm equals moment. So we need to know what is arm. We know what weight is. Weight is how much people, fuel, baggage do we put in this airplane. The arm is a distance. It's merely a distance. So if I call the front of the airplane, we'll call that another word called datum. We'll get to that here shortly. I picked a measuring point, and I want to know what is the arm of the pilot seat. And the arm of the pilot seat is going to be expressed in inches. So I can measure pilot seats here, and this number here, if I go from the front of the airplane, on my tape measure is about 13 inches to where the pilot sits. That is called the arm. The last thing we call is the moment. Weight times arm equals moment. So moment is called a product. Something times something, mathematically, is called a product. So the moment is what actually is going to be the movement of my balance. So right now, we're finding the center of gravity on, we can do 3 axes here. On my lateral axis, or on my longitudinal axis, this is the balance point or center of gravity. Now, if you remember, we have 3 axes that we talk about in flight. We have the x-axis, or the longitudinal axis, which is this axis here. I'll use my tape measure. So it's this distance here. That is one of my axes. Another of my axes is across. Okay, I'm going to call it the y-axis, but this is also called the lateral axis. So this distance here is one of my axes. And my third axis is going to be vertical. So those are my axes of flight. Now, on my vertical axis, let's start with this. On my vertical axis, I have 2 forces. I have the weight of the airplane, right? That's what's pulling down. If I drop it, that's weight, right? Then I also have a lift vector. So when this airplane is flying in flight, in fact, let's get in flight. We got to get in our flight mode. We'll get rid of that. And I'm going to pull over my fan. Here's my fan. Let's turn the fan on. So now we got flight, right? Okay, so this is my other mode, and I'm not very well in balance here. See, this is the problem, is if my lift comes off of the wing in the wrong area and I don't balance, it makes it difficult to fly the airplane. My other forces are thrust. So if I have a propeller up here spinning, that's going to push the airplane this way, thrust, and drag. Drag is going to oppose this. There will be several reasons why we need to be able to calculate weight and balance. One reason is I've got an owner. He owns his airplane. He flies his airplane. And this happens to be an aerobatic airplane. And one day the owner says, you know, I saw another guy with an airplane like mine and it has a bigger engine. I want a bigger engine. I want to go faster. I want to do more stunts. I want a bigger engine. So the manufacturer of the airplane says, yeah, you can put a bigger engine on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this engine off. We're going to take this little engine off, right? Pull that, and we're going to put a bigger engine on. So now, if I can get the bigger engine on, now we got a bigger engine. So what's that going to do to my weight and balance? Is it going to balance in the same point? No. In fact, my balance point used to be here, and now my new balance point has moved forward because we have more weight on this. Now what's it going to do to me when I fly if I have more weight in the airplane? Okay, remember last time where it didn't balance correctly? Look at that. Now it's almost in balance. So when this airplane is in flight, that's going to change it.